Amnesia. I've got a love and hate relationship with this franchise. On the one hand, without the Dark Descent, the scariest thing publishers would release nowadays is the price for the season pass of their latest AAA recycled pile of dump. On the other, it's because of Amnesia that we had to deal with predictable and forgettable games like Outlast, Layers of Fear, Visage, Five Nights at Freddy, or as I like to call them, the overenthusiast streamer's delight. Because calling them games for 30-year-old children who scream at a computer sounds too cocky and maybe as much pretentious. Now, before some of you looks at me with wide teary eyes, wondering why I hate their favorite horror game, let me explain why just I'm not a big fan of them. Because they're not fucking scary. Sure, the first few times it's spooky to be unarmed and unable to defend yourself, but after a while you start noticing the patterns, the creases, the dumb stupid shit. Like the fact that if the game asks you to go inside a very small room and then spawns a very big hairy monster, I'm not going to get scared. In fact, I'm in the safest spot the game could ever put me into. Because the game put me into this tiny space, so the game knows I can't defend myself. What do you think it's going to do? Kill me? He's not allowed to. So no, big spooky embodiment of the main character's guilt over eating too many cakes at his brother's wedding. I'm not scared of you. Because I know you're just going to stand there and scream at me. So you can get the hell out and later tonight we can awkwardly pretend that nothing ever happened.
Don't be mad at me, but
while the Dark Descent became the unwilling mother to a bunch of gremlins, Frictional tried to evolve and follow new ideas. Soma delivered a deep narrative about the meaning of consciousness and soul, but also forgot that it was supposed to be a game. Amnesia Rebirth instead went back to the puzzle-heavy focus of the original, but the plot was the inbred offspring of the Mountains of Madness with a Twilight fanfiction. A huge step down compared to the Chinese room's Amnesia Machine for Pigs. But then again, a Machine for Pigs was a boring piece of shit. So maybe Rebirth's story of Lovecraftian motherhood isn't so bad. But while Frictional was still trying to find a way to improve, other developers understood the lesson and started making horror frightening again, with Alien Isolation, Resident Evil 7. Because it turns out that when you can actually shoot and defend yourself, the gameplay is much more engaging, and the more you're engaged, the scarier the experience gets. But finally we get to Amnesia the Bunker, which is set in the First World War, probably not to make a big statement about the horror of conflict, but most probably because the guys at Frictional were so bewildered at discovery of the existence of concepts like firearms and basic self-defense that they thought they just had to make a game set in a battlefield. So by now we all know the drill. Generic main character wakes up in the dark, no memory how they got there, a big spooky monster is chasing them, and in the end they discover they were the villain all along. In the Dark Descent we were torturers, in Machine for Pigs we tried to kill humanity in time for New Year's Eve, in Rebirth we debated about child protection, and in the Bunker we are French. No, seriously, the game can barely come up with a good reason as to why I'm supposed to think ill of the main character. Without spoiling too much, by a twist of fate the dude just avoided becoming the German soldier's new target practice dummy, and I honestly don't really think he should feel so catastrophically bad about himself. And if you already played the game and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you be excused, because the Bunker belongs to the notes are a substitute for plot school of thought, where if you don't read every single document, including the one hidden in the masturbation corner of soldier Jean-Jacques P. Hole, you won't have a full picture of what the hell is going on. Devs, may I just let you in on a secret? Reading notes is not a replacement for storytelling. But I digress. After all, Amnesia's forte has never been the story, unless you believe that Avatar is a milestone in movie theater screenwriting. Oh, and to be completely fair, I still liked it. It's one part the adventure of a soldier who has to face an unholy monstrosity, which is not gonna win it an Oscar anytime soon, but it's still enthralling enough. And one part slowly piecing together whatever happened to your brothers in arms before they were prematurely introduced to their own large intestine. What I really was interested about though is how the game is structured. One safe room of Resident Evil memory, complete with item box, and a sprawling series of underground tunnels to navigate while avoiding the always present monster. It's a system that works and rewards meticulous planning and preparation. It's a shame that they also had to copy Chris Redfield's inventory size, so that all you can carry at the start of the game is your gun and some Vaseline, so that the monster can have an easier time with you when you get caught and you realize that you left your grenades back in the safe room. Sure, you can upgrade your backpack until you can carry a revolver, a shotgun, 4 medkits, 3 molotovs and a pack of dog food for good measure, but for a game that boldly states, experiment, if you think something might be possible to do, it probably is, you think they'd let you some extra wiggle room. Also, I think that they should have put some extra punctuation on that might be possible, because the one time I tried something out of the ordinary, I was simply attempting at burning the wire from a trap using my lighter, and it still didn't work. At this point you might believe I have a bad opinion of Amnesia the Bunker, But no, I actually quite like this game. It's simple in presentation and structure, old school if you will. It manages to be genuinely frightening, which is my professional way of saying that I left some suspicious brown lines on my pants in a couple of occasions, with how the monster constantly puts pressure on you. Even too much pressure, maybe. Hell, almost every action I performed was enough to attract him from the other side of the planet. Speaking of, I need to check online, but I can't honestly believe that humanity was so incompetent as to make a flashlight that needs to make so much noise whenever you have to recharge it. Because it's very fucking noisy. Ah, shit. That was the part where I was supposed to praise the game. Yeah, it's a good game. It delivers what it sets out to do, and there's a lot of love poured into it that manifests in little touches. But the problem with the bunker is that, despite being a fairly short experience, it's still too long. It doesn't take too much to understand how the monster works, and once you do, the horror becomes routine. I'm sorry, Frictional Games, but asking me to replay this whole thing just to experience items placed in slightly different places won't really change my opinion on the matter.